There are two things that we do constantly on a daily basis. Of course, there are so many other things, but most importantly, these are two things which we do constantly and repeatedly. One is breathing, another is thinking. But are we thinking clean? Did you ever question yourself, are we thinking clean? This is exactly what we're going to discuss about in today's video. Hello everyone, this is Kapil Reddy, founder and CEO of Simply. The topic we're going to discuss about today is all about the way you think, the kind of bias which we have, and how do you actually process the information that comes your way. With the two constant things, what actually happens is breathing helps you survive every day, while thinking helps you thrive in this competitive world. And that is the reason why it's very important to understand the way you think and to correct the way you think, which is exactly what we'll discuss today. Especially the fact that we've moved from a physical world into a knowledge world with respect to our work. It's even more relevant today to have a proper thinking. Without proper thinking, trust me, there is only so far we can go. But once you have proper thinking, sky is the limit for what you can achieve. And the fundamental question which I asked in the beginning, as I told, are we all thinking clean? The answer is a big no. As much as we want to achieve everything that we set out to, it's practically not possible, even if you, let's say, execute everything as per what you have planned. And that's because that's how the world works. And we need to be in peace with it. And the fundamental thing is, we fail more than what we actually think of. And that's very common. Whenever you're failing next time, do not panic. It's all about understanding where you've gone wrong, why you failed, and then think properly and move in the right direction. So do not feel bad if you have actually failed doing something. It's perfectly normal. So the first question is, where are we going wrong? The cognitive revolution actually happened 70,000 years ago. If you really want to understand how this all started or where it has happened and the way we think, we have to dig down into the history books. Fundamentally, humans are intelligent species, but that doesn't mean we think right every single time. We all think with our own bias, because our bias is characterized by all those things that happen to us, all the material that we have read, or all the surroundings which we have observed over a long period of time. All that put together will actually bias the way you think. And that's the reason for why we don't think right every single time. The first human ancestors appeared between 5 million to 7 million years ago. If learning geography tells you about the history of Earth, then learning cognitive biases will tell you about the human thinking and our biases associated with it. So if you have to sum up with one thing on cognitive biases, you can ignore them, you can glorify them, you can vilify them, but they are here to stay. So rather than trying to do something about it, let's try to understand where these biases come from. It's extremely important to learn them. Learning from the mistakes which our ancestors have actually done will help us in not doing or repeating the same mistakes. And it's super important for us to understand the cognitive biases which has led to that sort of thinking, so that the ideal expectation is that we don't repeat the same mistakes. A few examples of cognitive biases are Dunning-Kruger effect, sunk fallacy cost, and the list can go on like this. There are at least like few tens and hundreds of biases that are actually something which are in practice on a daily basis. But we'll do a separate video on that at a later point. So the big question is, can we learn to think cleanly? Is it even possible? The solution to think cleanly is not about avoiding these cognitive biases, but to understand how exactly cognitive biases are framed. Once you get to understand the root causes of every cognitive bias, you're much more prepared, and because of that, you'll have a better thinking and a better way of dealing certain situations. It's more like giving a heads up before a test so that you're well prepared about it. See, rather than complaining about it or feeling bad about it, always be prepared about it. And that's how you can start thinking in a more effective way. And the important thing is, as I told now, if you're aware of the cognitive biases, they just let you understand where you can go wrong. What are the potential pitfalls, or what are the potential problems that you can face. Because of that, because of your preparedness, you're in a much more stronger position to attack them with the right solution. And another thing is, it's not like you can always be clean with your thinking. The only thing is, you'll at least have a right direction. Let's say you're stuck with something, and because of your awareness of cognitive biases, you're at least guided in the right direction. And that's the biggest advantage of understanding these cognitive biases. As I told, cognitive biases are directly related to the way you think. There's a reason why we think in a certain way or why we behave in a certain way. And every single thing has a cognitive bias associated with it. So rather than feeling bad about it or rather ignoring about him, let us understand these cognitive biases so that the way we take decisions will be much stronger. As I told, there are a list of cognitive biases which I 100% want to discuss, but that's definitely for another video. This video is basically just an introduction into why we don't think clean and why is that we behave in a certain way. And everything is associated with cognitive biases. So finally, to conclude, what we can tell is learning from human mistakes is very important, and using them while we are actually performing a particular thing will help us in avoid doing the same mistakes. And that can make all the difference for you in the way you approach things. So whenever you think next time that maybe you're stuck somewhere or you feel that you're not able to think properly or think through the lines, always go back to these cognitive biases and understand that there is a reason why you're thinking a certain way. And to get better at this thinking, just be aware of these cognitive biases so that your decision making is much more well informed and you'll be a lot more happier that way. That is it for today. As always, do let us know if you want to cover us any new topics. But having said that, as I told, cognitive bias is such an interesting topic. Once I got to know about these cognitive biases, I was super fascinated. So eventually we'll 100% talk about each of those cognitive biases and how they can actually affect your decision making and what are the kind of mental models that can be framed out of these cognitive biases. All this will be covered in forthcoming videos. So until then, please do like, subscribe and share this. At the same time, spread the word about our channel. Our channel is all about creating more awareness around learning, productivity and different techniques that we use for effective thinking. Simple point is, learning just doesn't happen like that. Learning is a culmination of so many things put together. It's a process. And that's the reason why not everyone can be successful when it comes to learning. Having said that, with basic tips and tricks and some basic hacks, each of us can 100% become a much more efficient learners. And that's what Zoopal is all about. And this channel is just a platform for us to create more awareness around these biases and some of these hacks, techniques, and productivity practices. More on the product later, but having said that, we are sharing our learning spaces where we've curated articles or links or any resources for that matter in one curated learning space on a specific topic. We'll be sharing more of them, so keep an eye on our other social media channels. Until then, signing off. Have a great week and a great weekend ahead. See you all next time. Bye-bye.